Hey, this is the Entertainment Advice Channel. What I want to talk about today is a topic of what makes a movie great. Okay, so when it comes to the topic of what makes a movie great, the simple truth of the matter is, out of all the things that are needed to make a movie great, the main thing, which is what I'll be talking about for the video, the most important thing that's needed to be used to make a movie great is, of course, a balance between story and action scenes. That is the honest truth of the matter, okay? So now that I mention that, let me explain why, okay? Now, when it comes to this particular issue, why this is the main thing that's needed in order to make a movie great, it simply comes down to the fact that it's just down to just straight up common sense, okay? Because if you have too much of anything, it can be a bad thing, especially when you take in consideration these are the two things that make up a movie, the two main things at least that make up any movie, okay? Story and action scenes, okay? And if you have any one of the two of these main things, it can make your movies extremely unbearable to watch, okay? If you have a movie that is has too much story, it's extremely boring, okay? It's extremely boring and tiresome, repetitive, and just comes off as a desperate attempt to get an Oscar, okay? It's just boring, repetitive, annoying, and just not something you ever want to watch, okay? If the movie has too much story and not enough action scenes, okay? But on the other hand, if you have too much action scenes, the um then the movie could just be a random shoot it up. It's might be entertaining to watch, but it's stupid, and it's as a result, it's forgettable, okay? It doesn't have any substance and any soul for that matter, okay? So both of them, if you have too much of any of the two things, just suck, okay? And actually, not only that, they can also, to a certain degree, in their own ways, be extremely boring. That is the honest truth of the matter when it comes to you know making movies. You have to have a balance for everything, okay? That is the honest truth of the matter, okay? And that is something that needs to be done to make a movie great, out of everything. Because the truth of the matter is, out of all the things that movie issues movies have, if anything, out there, whether it could be obviously a overcomplicated plot, if it's not an overcomplicated plot, it might be, for example, the story has, too much character development, whether it could be also maybe another one, of course, that can come up, of course, no surprise, is maybe the plot idea is just dumb, whatever you can name. This one definitely takes the main cake, okay, out of all the issues that a movie can have, okay? Because it can definitely make or break a story, okay? Because all the other issues might be there, but this is the one thing that defines if the movie is good, okay? Or it's a straight up snooze fest, for that matter, okay? That's the honest truth of the matter. Specifically, if there's too much story and not enough action scenes. That's the honest truth of the matter, okay? So now, of course, now that I've explained that, the other question obviously that comes up, of course, no surprise, is that how do you determine that? Now, when it comes to um how you determine that, it's simply down to having a time limit, okay? Like, let's just say, for example, you have a story, okay? Or more like a movie, whatever you like to say, okay? That's over 3 hours long, okay? You should probably have a limit of how much the movie can go on before it has an action scene, before, of course, it just goes on, okay? Because there's a lot of movies out there. I'm gonna keep it real with you, where there's easily an hour plus of movies, or I should say of the movie. My bad. Of the movie where nothing interesting happens. Literally nothing fucking happens over the span of an hour. Okay, it's literally an hour, sometimes even more, where nothing interesting happens, and it's just like we are trying so hard to sound smart. And not just sound smart, we're trying so hard to get an Oscar award, okay? And that is the honest truth of the matter, okay? Even great movies like The Godfather, I have noticed has made this issue, and a lot of old movies, especially that are considered classics nowadays. Okay, that is the honest truth of the matter. Okay, they tend to have these extremely long periods of time where there's just nothing happening. Okay, and as a result, it's just boring and tiresome, and it's one of those parts in a movie where it's just like, okay, if I'm going to rewatch a movie, I'm just going to hope this scene ends quickly, or something, because this part is just so boring. And that's the honest truth of the matter, okay? That is the very, very, very honest truth, okay? That is honest truth, okay? So as a result of that fact, okay, you obviously have to have a good balance, okay? And of course, you don't want to make your movies too predictable, so you should have a certain range, okay? Which I would estimate would probably be maybe 30 minutes to 50 minutes. Maximum of time you can have a story go on for before you have to have an action scene. Okay. Because if you obviously go that long, or I should say longer, without an action scene, then it becomes kind of boring and repetitive to watch, especially in a day and age where people have shorter attention spans. Obviously, having something that lasts for over an hour to maybe an hour and 30 minutes where nothing happens is just not makes it something that's just not worth looking at, and will just kill people's interest, and as a result will affect the quality of movies, because people who actually are making movies with actual storylines, no one's going to watch their movies, and people are just going to watch random shoot it up movies. So the truth of the matter is, that's why this is a very good thing if, of course, you want to preserve filmmaking and honesty. Okay? That is honest truth of the matter. So, in short, to sum things up, you have to obviously, to resolve that issue, have to have a range, okay? Because at some point you just have to realize the story is just too long, because and as a result, it's just getting boring. Besides, let's be honest, man. When we watch movies, all of us, we watch movies because we want to see violence, okay? It doesn't matter the type of genre or whatever. As long as it's a movie that has violence in it, like the theme of it is something that relates to violence, we want to see some violence, okay? It doesn't mean you have low class taste or anything like that, which a lot of stupid people say, because you want to watch a movie that actually has a decent amount of violence. It doesn't mean anything like that, like those pretentious people who think because they, watch, Kurosawa movies and just in general these boring ass old samurai movies. Not saying all, but a lot of them are boring, and they just watch an action scene where it's just like two men standing in the rain and trying to look, intimidating, and nothing really happens, and like one sword strike happens, and they go like, oh my god, this is so amazing. Like, you don't want to be those type of people. Those people are stupid, okay? And that those are the people who obviously we shouldn't even focus on. Those people are dumb, okay? And they watch things that are just so like, I don't even want to get into those people, okay? Those people are fucking dumb as hell, okay? And obviously you don't want to come, like I was saying, you don't want to come on, you don't want to, have movies like like those type of stupid people watch, okay? You want to have an action scene. So in short, yes, let's be honest. Let's admit it. Admit that we want to watch something with violence, okay? Let's not come off as those pretentious people, okay? Those people are stupid and dumb, and most of the movies that they rate as being amazing are just boring. It's only gets a higher rating because the movie is just extremely complex, at least referring to the plot of it, okay? That is honest truth of the matter, okay? So in short, just because you want to see action does not mean you have bad taste, even a sufficient amount. It just depends on how it's done. There has to be a good balance. And that is the honest truth of the matter, okay? So there has to be a good balance. And the suggestion I gave, hopefully, is the suggestion you hear if you want to make your movies great, especially if you're someone who's an aspiring filmmaker, okay? Because the truth of the matter is the movie industry is not in a good space right now. And obviously, we need new filmmakers to make movies. And obviously, if you're interested in actually making, no surprise, a good movie, this right here is a good suggestion if you want to make your movies great. If you want to make your movies boring, uh or I should say, don't care if your movies are boring or unmemorable for that matter, then don't take this advice. But if you want your movies to be great, then definitely no ifs, ands, or buts, definitely take this advice, okay? Especially for the new generation of filmmakers. And that's an honest truth. So anyway, this is my video. For that matter, I hope you enjoyed it, as well as learned something new. And just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumbs this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is off the saying, simply put out. So bye.